Before our next investigation even aired, we started hearing from people who knew the story's subject. One sent a message writing, "We are Americans. We should not treat people this way." Another wrote, "Ashamed I spent time there, but what's being done needs to be exposed." Tonight we expose it in Cell Blocked.
Right here, tell me when to stop.
Recreating a box.
Stop about right there.
Right here?
We're humans, we should be treated like humans.
The size about 20 feet long, 10 wide.
17, 18 people at all times in there, sandwiched in there like sardines.
The floor?
Yeah, I guess it's concrete like this. Hard concrete.
It's harder than that.
We asked two Louisianians to retrace their time in a box just like this. Here's the real version, and here it is filled up. No shower, no bed, just a toilet open for the rest of that box to see. Two nonviolent offenders, one in for driving drunk and fleeing from police, the other for a probation violation, spent more than 2 weeks locked up in this box or holding cell.
How long were you in holding for?
17 days.
You were in the holding cell for 17 days.
Holding cell for 17 days.
For 16 days, did you leave that holding cell?
The only time I left was for showers. Yeah, for the showers.
Their story, what happened to them, is against the law.
So this is a law enforcement agency breaking the law.
Correct.
And this agency does it every day. Nonviolent offenders in for a drug court sanction, disturbing the peace, a first offense DWI, even a probation violation.
Whoever is in charge of this prison is not living up to the legal obligations.
According to Louisiana's minimum jail standards, new arrivals can be housed in holding cells for a maximum of 48 hours. There it is in writing. Then they must be transferred to an appropriate housing facility. Instead, they're being stuffed in this small room with few places to sleep.
No beds. What'd you sleep on?
We slept on concrete. That's all there was is concrete.
Last year, Ahmed Bakr had some drinks, then went to visit a friend.
I was going pretty fast on my motorcycle.
How fast were you going?
Probably about, the first time they got me, probably about 90 miles an hour.
Police tried to pull him over on the causeway.
I ran. I don't know what I was thinking.
He finally pulled over. Police arrested him. He bonded out and months later missed a court date.
Why'd you miss the court date?
I didn't have a ride, honestly. My mom was out in Texas and she had the car, and she said she forgot I had court.
So a bounty hunter found him and brought Bakr to the St. Tammany Parish Detention Center. He stayed inside the holding cell for 16 days.
It's the same for everybody.
Same for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
They're in there for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
This St. Tammany Parish resident asked us to hide his identity. He's afraid of retaliation.
You're not a violent offender.
No.
He received probation after a first offense DWI, but forgot to tell his probation officer he moved.
You messed up.
I did. Absolutely. I'm fully accountable for my actions, and I am not upset at all that I was, put in jail for my neglect.
What upset him? The 17 days he spent in the holding cell.
They say, when you go to jail, you give up your rights, which is, I guess kind of true, but that's not your human rights.
We scheduled an interview with St. Tammany Parish Sheriff Randy Smith. 55 minutes before the interview, he canceled and instead offered us his public information officer.
Well, unfortunately, he's unavailable. So
Why?
I'm his public information officer, and I'm prepared to answer to the best of my ability whatever question you have about our jail facility. I can't speak for why the sheriff is or is not a part of this particular interview.
After he agreed to do it.
Correct.
The sheriff's office doesn't dispute our findings, that it's ignoring the 48-hour standard.
I would say don't commit a crime in St. Tammany Parish and you won't have to go to holding at all.
But aren't we innocent until proven guilty?
That's not for the sheriff to determine, that's for the courts to determine.
You're talking about offenders and people breaking the law, and that's who you're arresting, bringing into this detention center.
Correct.
Do you realize you're breaking the law yourself?
I would say that you're splitting hairs. I would say that we have someone who's been placed into custody for what is a probable cause arrest, either by a warrant or warrantless arrest. And the sheriff's office has the obligation to house that individual.
According to department records, nearly half the jail population comes from the State Department of Corrections, which places some inmates in parish detention centers across the state. The records show the St. Tammany Jail also houses some federal inmates.
If you have DOC and federal inmates, why can't you tell them we can't house these people because we don't have enough space for our inmates?
The sheriff and his administration makes the decision on how many DOCs we're going to take, how many federal inmates we're going to take, and ultimately what it boils down to, Lee, it does ultimately boil down to dollars and cents. There's a dollar figure associated with a DOC inmate and a dollar figure associated with a federal inmate.
But if you can't even follow the law, why are you taking those inmates and taking that money?
We have to fund the facility. We refuse to allow dangerous criminals to roam the streets.
But you have to follow the law too.
Correct, but unfortunately, it's a balance.
Here's a snapshot of one day, January 22nd. Records show the jail had 86 inmates in the 4 holding cells. 52 of those inmates had been placed in holding for more than 4 days. We found 9 inmates locked up in holding for 12 days, 8 for 13 days, and 4 for 14 days.
We're overloaded. The funds don't exist to make this a comfy hotel.
But overcrowding doesn't seem to be the problem. That's because after this interview, the Sheriff's Department sent us additional information that they had 1,030 available beds at the jail. What that means, on the day Ahmed Bakr should have been moved out of the holding cell but wasn't, the jail had around 100 open beds. The jail's daily report even shows 92 open beds that day.
They have open beds at the facility right now, so they do have open beds.
Really?
Yes.
They have cells that are available?
When you look at their daily report, they have open cells, available cells.
Well, then I don't understand. Now I'm in that rare situation of being speechless. I don't understand why they're keeping people in these holding cells. I didn't want to believe it was for malicious purposes. I just assumed there was some neutral explanation like we have no other space. But if there's room at the inn and they're still keeping people housed like sardines, that's really worse, isn't it? That's much worse.
This isn't a problem that's new or even started with the current sheriff, Randy Smith. It's systemic. Under former Sheriff Jack Strain, the Department of Justice sent a letter writing it was concerning prisoners were sleeping on floors and benches in the holding cells with little or no bedding articles, adding prisoners were required to remain in the holding cells for days, if not weeks, before they were assigned to housing units.
This has been going on at least for 8 years. And it looks like, from what I've seen, there's been minimal or no improvement over this 8-year period. And that's pretty shocking.
Humans stuffed in a small room for weeks.
Just the fact that people are in jail doesn't mean we don't want to be humane about these things. Plus, we do believe in the rule of law, right? You have an agency that creates its own codes and then doesn't live up to those obligations. That's a lawless situation, and there should be accountability and enforceability.
Some of these inmates are, in fact, violent offenders. Others made one mistake and hope to never be back, to never recreate their time in the box again.
We're humans, you know, we should be treated like humans, even though we may have done something, you know, wrong. You know, half of us are in there for things that are so small or petty. That doesn't mean, you know, we shouldn't be treated like animals.
After our interview, the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office told us the minimum jail standards referenced in our stories are guidelines, and it is their appreciation they are not law. And because of that, they are breaching an administrative rule. Tulane law professor Joel Friedman disagrees. By the way, the standards, those minimum jail standards, do state they are intended to reflect the minimum requirements which comply with court orders and protect the guaranteed rights of inmates in custody. The Sheriff's Department also sent us 2 civil actions in federal court that referenced poor jail conditions. Both of those cases were dismissed by the judge. We should point out in both of those cases the inmates did not have an attorney, but court records show they represented themselves.